Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Beatrice, and welcome once again to another episode of Voices of ASEAN, where we continue our series of highlighting dynamic young entrepreneurs in ASEAN as part of the partnership between Voice of ASEAN and the ASEAN Young Entrepreneurs Council. And today I am pleased to welcome the beautiful Charmaine Co Leong, one of Philippines' representatives on the ASEAN Young Entrepreneurs Council and the president of the Philippines Young Entrepreneurs Association, or for short form, we're going to call it PYEA in our conversation. Charmaine is a young entrepreneurial force of nature. She co-founded Sign Corporation, a company that elevates brands through strategic public relations, and more recently, she serves as a certified security specialist at the Eastern Securities Development Corporation, where she is developing a fintech solution to help micro, small, and medium enterprises raise funding and receive support. Joining me live from Manila, here is Charmaine. Hi, Charmaine. I'm so glad to see we are both in the same color.
We did it on purpose.
We are so aligned.
I know.
As you were saying earlier, it's such a woman color, isn't it? It's like
yes,
strong,
that is true.
Unapologetically woman. So Charmaine, you are the president of the Philippines Young Entrepreneurs Association. So that's incredible. And I want you to share with us, firstly, what are the criteria for selection in membership for the Philippines Young Entrepreneurs Association?
Okay, so definitely you have to be a Filipino citizen because we want, it's not because we're discriminatory or anything, but we wanted to be part of the in terms of building the nation building, in terms of empowering Filipino entrepreneurs. We just wanted that common identity, but we are open to of course local affiliates of membership, young entrepreneurs from different regions and different countries to affiliate with us. You have to their age range requirement is 21 to 45 years old, and you must be an active entrepreneur. Definitely, you should have your proof of business ownership, either a DTI registration or a SEC registration. And lastly, you must be a part of a local chapter or an affiliate association, as I mentioned earlier.
I see. So when you say that those who are like Filipino-born residents, citizens, right? They should be part. They can be the ones who can be part of the PYEA. But you're saying that those who are not, they can be affiliates. How do you mean that? What do you mean by what's an affiliate member criteria, or what would they do in the association?
Okay, we haven't really signed any formal agreement yet, but for example, we have the Korean Young Entrepreneurs Association here in the Philippines that has networked with us, and we have some interest in the Philippine American group in the States to affiliate with us, things like that.
Like collaborations, you mean, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. How has Ayak helped drive the growth of entrepreneurship among youth in the Philippines? Because I think that's one of the objectives for PYEA.
So with Ayak, what's very interesting about this, it's a bigger community outside of the Philippines, and it's a very vibrant group. It's almost like you can see a reflection of yourself, but in a different, just in a different country. And when we get together, it's just amazing, the sharing of resources, the connection. You hear them share their experiences with how the challenges they face in their country, and how they want to improve business owners, the challenges incurred. So I guess it's more of that that connection, that feeling, as you're feeling that you're all together in this. We're ASEAN as a region.
Yep. And I think PYEA is relatively new compared to the other associations.
Yes, that is true. We are, I think, one of the youngest organization in AYEC, but we're also one of the founding organizations that was there from the start. PYEA actually originated from the Youth Affairs Committee of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce in as early as 2006. And this would be the delegation that would go to trips whenever a Philippine presence is required. And we formally decided to incorporate in 2015, which was before the 50th anniversary of ASEAN, where we hosted the second ASEAN Young Entrepreneurs Carnival.
Oh, okay. Wow. So, all right. But so how do you how do you feel that Ayak is helping you in growing the entrepreneurship among youth? So you've got all this, as you said earlier, there's a lot of feeling of belonging. You get to see how the others are driving the entrepreneurship in their countries. How is PYEA helping that in Philippines?
So it's more of the vision, the overall vision. We take that vision and we bring it locally whenever we do our talks, our mentorships. We always tell them, hey, there's a bigger ASEAN network out there. There's a bigger community. You have to think global, think regional.
Yeah. So I think the mindset now among the young entrepreneurs is very much localized because you are a huge market.
That's true. Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So you also represent Philippines as an executive committee member of the Young Entrepreneurs Group of Asia Pacific. We call it YEGA. Right? And that's something that's really something very new, and you're also handling that and you're trying to develop it. Now, how does that complement with your efforts to help young entrepreneurs in Philippines?
So quite similar to AYEC. It's more of the global mindset. So yes, YEGAP is quite young in that sense because right now I'm also part of the committee to help establish this identity. We've been in several meetings with our CACSI parent organization in understanding like what are the gaps, what are the problems we want to solve in the community, how can we tie the Asia Pacific region closer together and create awareness. So that's pretty much it.
So what would be the distinctively different features of YEGA and PYEA? Because they're both in the same country and they're both about young entrepreneurs.
YEGA is Asia Pacific, so wherein ASEAN is ASEAN.
That would be.
Yeah, that is the main difference.
Okay.
So there are a lot of shared programs and collaborations in between.
I see. All right. And what are the challenges you face right now in growing it?
In PYEA or
both?
Oh, okay. Well, for PYEA, as mentioned, we are quite a young organization. Similar to starting your business, you have to figure out what are the products or what is the idea that you want to sell. Create that identity and be able to portray it so that you can reach more people.
And how do you reach the people? How do you reach? Do you have a rough idea of how many entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs that there are? A sort of a universe of how many young entrepreneurs there are in the Philippines that you want to reach?
Okay, so there are about over 800,000 micro entrepreneurs, and since Philippines has a very young age demographic, I would even just like a fraction of 10% of that is 80,000. I think that can really make an impact already.
Yeah. So you have a huge audience to reach out to.
Yes. And in partnership with the Philippine Chamber of Commerce, I think this will rapidly happen next year because as of we had a very interesting expansion membership drive that was supposed to happen in 2019, but because of the pandemic, everything was put to a halt and we had to restructure. We had to sit back and rethink like how can we be more effective, how can we be more driven, and what are our values and what are the considerations. So interesting enough, this year and last year helped us refocus our strategies to digitize our organization. So basically we wanted to be very well connected, but despite being in different regions in the Philippines, different areas in the Philippines, but through this platform we can be as one.
So you're looking at so you have this huge group of people you can tap into. Because 800,000 is a staggering number. And what?
That's just a micro enterprise.
Okay, so this micro entrepreneur is about 800,000. What about just SMEs? What do you have a ballpark figure for that?
Yes, I do actually. For the medium, for the small sector, it's about 98,000. It's so staggering. The differences are so
Yeah,
far.
yes.
88% are micro, 10% are small. The medium is barely 0.49%, and then when you go up, it's barely a fraction for the large ones.
Oh, yeah, it's quite a big difference, yeah? You have your MSMEs and your SMEs. So,
Mm-hmm.
what would be the benefit for both the MSMEs and the SMEs for joining YEGA and PYEA?
Okay, so aside from the mindset, and then we want to connect them in a sense that whenever they come here, we want to be able to tour them around the Philippines and show them that introduce them to the different entrepreneur groups that they might have some potential collaboration with.
Mm-hmm.
And likewise, I want to in the future, I do plan to have a delegation that is composed of a mix of different entrepreneurs representing different sectors and
I
bringing
see.
them there as a unified voice.
But that's for YEGA, right? So for PYEA, you're basically looking at drawing in part of that 800,000 and plus. So what would you tell the Philippine nationals that, here guys, just come and join us and it's going to be benefits for you. You're going to, what would that message be to them?
I want to take a fraction of that micro enterprise, bring the micro enterprises into the small industry, and from the small, bring them up the value chain. Because by doing that, you're able to foster this growth and impact wise. If you grow, you have more. You have
Yeah.
more impact in your local community, in your society, in your local area,
Yeah.
and connect them with like the enablers in their areas as well, so that they
Mm.
can benefit from it both ways.
That's a great pull factor for them, because then they are basically feel that if I were to join the PYEA as a young Philippine entrepreneur, PYEA would be able to connect me to a bigger market, and I would be able to sell my services or my products to a wider market. Would that be the promise?
Yes, yes.
That would be great. I think you'll be seeing a droves of them coming and joining you.
Thank you.
I think they would probably need to be profiled a little bit, so no, they get a lot of benefits from that.
Mm.
Okay,
I,
so yeah, sorry,
right.
go ahead.
I just wanted to add that since we are already we have already formalized our involvement with our partnership with the Philippine Chamber of Commerce, that they will be promoting us to
Mm.
establish youth chapters all over the Philippines. So we're seeing this happen maybe as early as first second quarter next year.
Oh, that's
So
great. Good news.
yes. And we want these entrepreneurs to work closely with their local government,
Mm.
and create like that sort of localized identity. And when we come together as PYA, we have something really unique, really powerful.
Yeah, I can see the plan now. That's excellent. So coming back to the next question then. So ASEAN Young Entrepreneurs Council and Voice of ASEAN have signed an MOU for Ayak to be Voice of ASEAN's partner. Voice of ASEAN, as you know, is a business networking platform that connects all 10 countries together in one portal to discuss government policies, business opportunities, and personalities like you that drive this region. So, what do you hope, Charmaine, to see achieved from this partnership that could benefit your members?
As you mentioned earlier, it's really all those opportunities, being able to network and to it's just a pool of like all of these resources, all of these people, all of these ideas, and really drive the region to its next renaissance, I suppose. Like
Ah, yes, the ASEAN Renaissance. I like that. So, Voice of ASEAN is also helping to promote Ayak's upcoming ASEAN Young Entrepreneurs Carnival, which is going to be held from 18 to 21st. I think it's already started here today. How will entrepreneurs benefit by attending the carnival, And what will the Philippines Young Entrepreneurs Association be doing at this event?
All right. So we actually have submitted our country report because prior to the policy dialogue that's happening on Friday, each country was asked to submit a study on their local the local scenario. But what was assigned to the Philippines is to talk about digitalization, and in line with that, we conducted a study. So we found a lot of very interesting results because we found out what are the challenges that that is incurred, what are the limitations of digitizing, like infrastructure, awareness. We also found out that what can be the driving force to help an entrepreneur shift digitally, and that would be to really, aside from awareness, to create that sense of to tie up the enablers, like the providers and then the local implementers with these businesses, and really guiding them, leading them by the hand, and showing them how effective it can be and how businesses have grown because of it.
Yeah, well, that's good.
And we actually have a few speakers, a speaker from the Philippines who will be talking about that tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So
who is your speaker? Who are your speakers?
So there are two speakers coming from the Philippines who will be speaking in the carnival. One will talk about she's into a social entrepreneur. She's a social entrepreneur, and she will be talking about the collaboration and how she built that network. Her name is Marine Bautista. And our other speaker is VJ Africa, who will be talking about the shift of MSMEs to digitalization.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah. So now we understand that you are a certified securities specialist working for Eastern Securities Development Corporation, where you, so firstly, you'll have to explain to me what that is, because I don't understand what a certified securities specialist is. And secondly, we want to know about how you're leading the business unit in developing a fintech solution to help MSMEs raise funding and receive support. So I have two questions in that one question. Balls in your park.
Okay, so in so many words, like aside from the fancy title, I'm literally a stockbroker.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's just what our license is called. Me personally, I'm not so much on the trading side now. I'm focused on this new business unit of Eastern Securities that will be helping a lot of SMEs really find funding, because as an entrepreneur myself, that is one of the challenges that has been repeatedly it's just really a challenge for everyone. When we do our surveys, when we do our talks, it's always like, how do I access funding? It's so expensive. It's hard. I don't qualify. I'm all of these, right? So although our platform will be a matching and a resource center, so that businesses who are looking to raise funds, they should know that it's not an easy process. You have to be very forthcoming with your investor. You have to adhere to certain responsibilities, to be as transparent as possible to earn the trust of your investor and to be able to raise funds in the future. So we're pretty much trying to train SMEs to become as if they were a listed company, to have that mindset, like, I have to grow my team, I have to plan ahead, I need to understand how to allocate my funds so that
plan ahead of time,
not spending it here and there. Yes.
Okay, so so go ahead. I'm still trying to understand.
But actually, it's a little too early because we're still trying to receive our license from the SEC in the Philippines, and we are trying to poise ourselves to be the first equity crowdfunding in the Philippines. So that's the stakes there. It's a lot of pressure, actually.
So there's no equity crowdfunding platform in the Philippines yet?
None yet, because the rules and regulation just was brought about in 2019, mid-year 2019, and And because we are a stock brokerage, we actually have the expertise of already dealing with people's money, with the funds, and talking to investors. So we decided like this was the logical next step to digitalize that and help and connect it to the SMEs.
So once you have that platform done, to be able, so it's like an equity crowdfunding for MSMEs.
Yes.
That's a great idea. And once it's all done, what's the timeline? When do you see this being completed?
Well, our registration is ongoing currently, so it's been almost a few weeks. So it's either the earliest time would be around December once we get the clearance, or maybe as early or later next week, earlier next year.
Okay, that's not too far away. And once it's all settled, I suppose you would want to work together with Ayak, because you have already the existing membership there, and you're going to just connect the dots. Am I right?
Yes, yes. Actually, I wanted to point out that because of this platform, we were able to already sort of try to network with the different ASEAN regions, because as of now, the businesses that we are planning to we are onboarding onto our platform, even though we haven't launched, our local companies, but we want to attract investors from the region, and as well as local investors to invest in the local businesses. We have received inquiries of how about Japanese companies, or how about other country startups. So we are not quite there yet. I think that maybe 1 or 2 years down the line.
That's one of the things we want to do too. In Voice of ASEAN. In Voice of ASEAN, that's one of the plans for 2 years. Have an investment brokerage system integrated into the business network, because it makes sense. You know, if someone wants to come and invest in this region, they want to see who are the most enterprising entrepreneurs who want to have shares in their company to be given up.
Yes, yes. And a lot of that is really educating, or the awareness drive of how equity crowdfunding can help businesses. And the process of it is not really easy. We have to keep emphasizing on that. But what's nice with round one is we have financial advisors, business advisors there that you can tap. So whether you are an entrepreneur or an investor, you can just go on the platform, and even though you're not in the Philippines, you can hire a local advisor to do your due diligence on these companies, and vice versa.
Yeah, that's great. Sounds great. I have a question though. So you have 2 jobs, almost. Like you have Signer Sign, where you do public relations, and you have Eastern Securities Development Corporation. So how do you manage it?
Well,
and then you run Ayak, and you run PYEA, and Yega. Okay, so let's start with your immediate roles. It's a lot.
Yes, it's kind of, but it's kind of tiring. Yes, I have to admit, but it's very fulfilling, because all of these, when you connect them all together, you can see the similarities, and the overall goal is to really help the country, help the region, help MSMEs. And it doesn't really matter like all the work that's being put in, because in a few years time this will really be something great. And we would like to connect that with the rest of ASEAN. We've actually, I think we spoke with Vietnam with is it possible, like how would we connect our equity crowdfunding in Vietnam and like the regions, and then maybe connect, like who knows, in the future maybe we have like a regional equity crowdfunding platform, and you have businesses investing in each other. You have like ASEAN internships all over the country, and like different people in the rural as well joining in.
Yes,
it's very exciting.
It's very exciting. And this passion you have, Charmaine, it probably, my guess is it was developed at a very young age. You must have seen your parents and been able to be inspired what they do. So I'm guessing that your parents are entrepreneurs too.
Yes, actually came from, I'm actually a 4th generation Chinese in the Philippines, and my family is in business ever since. But Signer Sign is a very new company. We started it about 10 and 11 years ago, and I think my story it resonates with a lot of people, because when you start, you're not so sure where you want to get into. And then there's a lot of like trying and pivoting along the way. But it grows. It's like for every failure, it's like it opens new doors and you want to say, you have to just keep taking it and take the chance.
Absolutely.
Not be scared. Yeah.
I totally relate to that as an entrepreneur myself. Totally relate. But sometimes you ask, where am I going with this? But it goes somewhere, you know, you just have to flow with it, right?
That's right.
So was your family business is totally different? What did they do? Or what are they involved in?
We are actually in real estate, and we used to be in manufacturing. So it's very far, and we used to be in trading. So very business to business, or like behind the scene. But now I'm being pushed into like a more of a front facing, because of the crowdfunding. We had to do a lot of talks. We have to a lot of events. So it's it's a contrast, but it also works together. And with Signer Sign, we have a PR marketing business unit that is helping drive all of these efforts in front and into the market. So it complements together.
So interesting. We were looking for a PR company to have a partnership with in different countries. So I'll probably be talking to you separately on what we could do together. New connections. So tell us more about you then. Where's your drive? I mean, you've achieved, I'm not sure how old you are, but I think you're in your early 30s or maybe late 20s. I'm not sure. Almost there.
That could be accurate too.
So you have, I mean, from just talking to you today, I can see a very accomplished young woman who is very driven, who, as you said, you're not given up. You just keep going with the flow and it evolves, right? I'm sure Sign from what you started with 10 years ago and where it is right now, it probably has changed a little bit in the way it is. So I want to ask you, what's your wish list for the next 5 years for yourself and for the Young Entrepreneur Council? So let's start with yourself first. What would be your wish list for you? What would you want to have accomplished?
Actually, I think I've grown a lot as a person. Like me 10 years ago has totally no idea where I would be right now. And there are a lot of things I wish I knew before, and the guidance I wish I had before. But no regrets, right? That's how it is. You learn along the way. You meet a lot of people and you work with people. And what's interesting is I actually work with my family. I'm partners with my siblings. I'm partners with my husband. And so it's a very unique or a very interesting dynamic, because you're so close in a way that you almost think as one.
Yeah.
And I think I actually want to share that with PYEA and with my when I do mentorship, because a lot of businesses in the Philippines are still run by families, by like very close people. So I really want to encourage more entrepreneurs in PYEA to also adopt a more holistic type of entrepreneurship. When I say holistic, it's not just about business, but it's also about your personal growth, society growth. And we actually are creating a program for that for next year. We are planning to spread it out through 1 year and then culminate it with AYEC, like the ASEAN partnership and the carnival. Hopefully, if we get to travel again next year, then everyone will be able to meet in person.
That'd be fantastic. So is there any questions from the audience? No. Oh, answered. Questions been asked and answered. Okay. All right. So thank you so much, Charmaine, for joining us. And I'm also pleased to announce, before that, I wish you luck. I wish you all the best. God bless. And then I'm going to, and I think you're going to fly. I can just feel that in you. You've got so much passion and drive. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm also pleased to, thank you. And I'm also pleased to announce that Voice of ASEAN is the official media partner of Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry for the upcoming Global Business Forum ASEAN GBF ASEAN 2021 on the 8th and 9th December. As part of this partnership, we will be interviewing several speakers from the GBF ASEAN event, starting with Dr. Ayesha Khanna, an expert in AI technology and the co-founder and CEO of Ado AI. Join us live next week, Thursday, 25th November at 7 p.m. Malaysian time for the interview. Voice of ASEAN thanks you for your time, and do check out our portal at voiceofasean.com for a recording of this dialogue. Thank you.